artist here in Panama City, Florida. My name is Geno, and I've made another video. I wanted to bring you into my house and show you what I do. If you've seen some other videos, then you've seen a few of how I go about them. This painting right here, I've been working on it for about a month now. It's been a long struggle, but I'm right there at the end. And I wanted y'all to watch me put in a bird feeder on the side of this general store, which I think is going to look really neat. I'm excited about it. But I just wanted to invite you in, show you what I'm doing. I have a lot of people out there that like to follow my art and kind of see it come together. I've been a little slack on this one videoing, but anyway, here we are. I'm going to let y'all look at it. Hopefully you'll enjoy it as we get it scanned for you. You can bring it in and let them see the overall. Alright, we can get a zoom in right here. You can see the kids flying a kite. The name of this painting is going to be Autumn Winds. And I wanted to tell a little story with it. It was one of the biggest things that I had thought about, doing a picture with some kids flying a kite, daddy and son, enjoying the winds and living in the mountains. I mean, I couldn't think of a better place to live myself, actually. I love the beaches, but I always love the mountains too. We go visit them a lot. But anyway, this was the story I wanted to tell, and Autumn Winds brings in the, of course in a picture you gotta show things to appreciate the wind. So if we can get a zoom over here on this house, let them get some detail. They can see the wind blowing out of the chimney up here. Keeps the direction going. Very important too that you make sure that the wind direction is right to fly a kite. You can see the flag. It's all indicators of a pretty good wind. It ain't gale force like we get here in Florida, but it is windy. And you can see all the details. If we can get a good zoom at the porch, you can see the flowers, and you can tell a woman lives there, obviously. Decorating it up, got the gardens. I like to do that a lot. Well, I don't do it as much as I should, but I'm getting where I do it a lot more, is bring in the flowers. They're really colorful. You have as an artist, I appreciate color, so it gives me a chance to play with tons of different hue values too, different shades. The canoes, of course, represent their fun that they have on the water. You can tell we got a hunter that lives here, or somebody in the family. But if we can get a zoom in on some of the rock details, I like to pay attention to my details, and that gives you an idea of how much detail I like to put in it. I don't think I'm done detailing in the future. I think that's just something I want to do more and more of. I want it to be where you're looking out of a window to appreciate the painting. To me, that's what an artist should do. Bring you into the painting where you can feel it and appreciate it, like looking out of a window to a view. Of course, my skills ain't where I'd like them to be yet, but that's something I'll probably work on the rest of my life. If we can scan over here to the bridge now, and let them just see the two bridges, just slowly come across here, let them get a good view of that. And you can see the details. I've still got more detail to do on the stones and everything. This picture's completely out of my head except for the mountain. Just this part up here. I could do mountains out of my head, but I prefer to use a picture if I can. It's so much more detail. I don't live in the mountains. I don't see them as much as I would like to. So I got a little help on that. But everything else in here is just made up as I go. Of course, Pepsi machines and stuff like that, I have to use something to go by to make sure that they look the way they're supposed to look at that time era. But I like to pay attention. We can get a zoom on this bridge back here. It's very small, as you can see, as my finger is here. Gives you an idea of just how big the fence is compared to my fingernail. So it's very, very time consuming to put them details back here. If you're an artist, you know what I'm talking about. You have to really sit there and be willing to put the time in, but I think in the end it's very appreciated. As we come across the bridge, this kind of ties the two landscapes in together. Narrows through here. Then you come down into the marketplace here. And this marketplace, her name's Serena. She actually works for the company that I work with now. And it's called Art Licensing. And she's one of the people that work there. She's a very sweet person. And I told her I'd put her name on this picture right here as a personal thing to her. But if we can get a good zoom at this right here, we can see the little details that I put in them. The old newspaper stand. I love nostalgic. I like to go back in time. The barrels, people used the barrels back then after the fact. They would use it for tools and stuff like that to put in them. The crates that they're still unloading. They're still putting all the stuff up, starting a new day, obviously. And you can see my flower basket here. It's not done yet. I gotta put the pretty flowers in. I just haven't figured out what color I want to use yet. And if we can get a zoom up in here, you can see some distant birds, which I'm not done putting them in there, but you can just see them flying back there. Of course, this says cafe. And you can see the bird bath. And if we can get a zoom right here, this represents on the tree how we used to etch in trees all the time. It's my wife and I's initials. And you can see the worm bucket. We can get a zoom over here. You can see the worm bucket. I'm sure they probably fish off this rock, mix it up a little bit. Nice comfortable bench, cut wood for the fireplace. But anyway, what we're gonna do today, real quickly, shouldn't take too long, is right in here I thought I'd put me a little birdhouse for the birds and stuff on a pole. So if y'all don't mind, I'll get y'all to watch me do that real quick, and we'll go to work on it. Try to get my stuff a little closer to me here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to draw it out. Got to find my chalk pencil that I like to use. Going to have to make an adjustment here. See if we can get a zoom right here where I'm going to be working. Grab me a pair of glasses here. Alright, what I want to do is just put me a little bird stand, a little birdhouse on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of use this pole right here to keep me straight. I don't want a crooked pole. Could be, it does get knocked around, but we're not going to play that card today. So what I'm going to do is just kind of sketch the bird pole by using this pole right here to kind of keep me lined up, kind of level. And just put it into the ground right there. Give me a little idea of what I want. And then I'm going to come in here and just kind of put the birdhouse on top of it. That'd be a good little cozy spot for it right here. It's nothing major, it's just something I wanted to kind of add into it. I put them in a lot of my paintings. I wouldn't say I'm so much a bird lover, I'm a lover of all animals. But I just think they make a really good addition in paintings. Gives people something to look at. A lot of people do like the birdhouses. And as an artist, I try to aim to please and be a people pleaser. And if that's what some people appreciate, that's great. If they don't appreciate it, there's a lot more I'm sure that they would find this interesting. But I try to put a lot of things in here to give it a more interesting look, especially when it comes to puzzles. My company does a lot of puzzles with my work. And if you're a puzzle person that likes to put puzzles together, I think we can all agree that the more you put into a puzzle, the more things to look at, the more interesting it is. A little easier to put together. I'm not kind of do 1,000-piece puzzles myself. I like to keep them simple. And if I could do a 100-piece puzzle, I would. But anyway, this is the things I like to do because my company does sell puzzles that go up to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 pieces. So the more I can put in, the better people that like to put puzzles together appreciate it. And I'm a detail person anyway. The more I put in there, the more I enjoy painting. So I think that'll look pretty good. Now let's just paint it in. I'll be thinking on the colors that I want to make, but obviously it pretty much wouldn't matter what color. I just want to make sure it sticks out. Red obviously would stick out, orange. But I'm probably going to go with maybe a trim of one of them colors and just kind of paint it brown, maybe a wooden little birdhouse there. So we're going to start off with the browns. I'm going to use a burnt umber and a burnt sienna, just to kind of get it started off. Give it a little rough in real quick. I like to kind of just outline the piece, you know, trying to make too many mistakes if possible. And just kind of just fill it in. These are real simple, they're just a little bit tedious at times. You gotta use smaller brushes. And if you're my age, you know, or older, you probably gotta put your glasses on. But it's all good. When I get it roughed in, I like to go in there and start putting my darks. And that's when it really starts bringing that contrast out in it. Pretty good little rough in. Like I said, we'll trim it out with a color. I'm gonna probably use red. I think that red would look really good up against all this. You got the red trim, why not a red birdhouse, especially if they made it themselves. So let's get a little bit of red. See if we can't get it to stand out a little bit. I think that's going to do a number to it. We're just going to give it a red trim. Sometimes you can overdo these if you're not careful. You want to do what it takes, but at the same time, be careful not to overdo something. Sometimes more can be less. It just depends on exactly what you're doing. But I believe if I can put a nice little trim around it, I think it'll stand out good enough. And we'll go to see the birdhouse. Of course, nobody's going to walk up to this painting being 4 foot long and 2 foot tall and say, wow, look at the birdhouse. It's something they'll see eventually. I like to try to captivate them. If it was me walking this painting, I'd probably see the overall colors in it. Then I'd probably zoom in on the mountain and work my way down into the buildings and then start looking at other things. It'll be an afterthought, but it'll definitely be there. And that's my goal. Now with a little trim like that, we'll come to the bottom. We'll put a little bit of Prussian blue. Prussian blue and Payne's gray. And that should deepen my colors just enough to give it a bottom. Just run out across there like that. And I'm going to put a little bit of a shadow up under that roof area right here, just like a house does. It doesn't take much to really start making it come out. So little things, I tell my students, the little things sometimes is what all it takes to make it work. Starting to see the birdhouse now. Now let's put a little hole. I'm sure not all the birds are going to be able to enjoy the birdhouse. Mostly for the small ones. Put a little hole in it right here. Hope everybody can see that so far. I think I like that. Now we're going to make a little pole here. This is where you want to kind of be straight as you can. I like to use a lot of water with my paint. It's acrylic. And it works really, really nice. I tell my students that water is your friend. I actually call it magic. Alright, I like to get my hand placed, push my canvas in, and try to get as still as possible and just work it. Like I said, perfect is one thing, art's another. There's different ways I could probably make this pole work a little easier, but I try to do everything with a brush and my paints. I don't like to use magic markers and all that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, it's a personal opinion. I like to have everything brushed on. Of course I use my fingers, but I don't like to use pens, pencils, and a mixed medium. I want it to stay acrylics. So I try to use everything with paint. But different artists have different ways of doing things. This is just my way. Now how far, if you can get a zoom in right here, how far I go down with this pole here, there's pipe, depends on how close I bring that bird feeder into the yard. I'm going to keep it back there a little distance behind that bush, so we're just going to keep it right about there and let it sink into the ground right about there. I think that'd be pretty cool right there. That adds a little bit of flavor to it. And I think what we'll do is put a crossbar on here that the birds can land on up under here. We'll just run that across right here. And that ought to do it right there. And we'll put some little balls on the end of it. Make it a little fancy. This gives it kind of a little look. Now we're going to put some light on the back side of it. With this light be coming out of the house, we're going to hit that thing with some light. It should bring it out pretty good. We'll use a little bit of white for the pole. You don't want to overdo this part. You want to be very careful that you don't make it too fat or it takes over the pole. So you just want to kind of put a little piece of it on here like that. And just kind of drag it down that side of the pole there. Doesn't take much at all to come out in that water. When I get that, and it all dries here in about 15-20 minutes, I'll take my eraser, my kneaded eraser, don't damage my work, and I'm going to erase all them chalk pencil lines that I put on there to draw it out to begin with. Now I'm going to put a little bit of light on this side of my house. I'm going to go with some gesso, a little bit of burnt umber, and maybe just a teeny tad of burnt sienna. That should give me kind of a lighter color. Put a little bit of water with it so it'll work for me. Make sure my brush is nice and tight. Then I'll come to this side of the house and just kind of light it up. That's not enough, so we're going to add a little bit more of the gesso and some sienna. That should bring it out right here. We'll put a little bit on this top. And now we have a birdhouse. Put a little shot of light on that pole, on this ball. And there we go. Now we have a pole with a little birdhouse on it. We're going to put a little thing in there that they walk in on in the hole of the birdhouse. That way they have access to it. We'll put it right there. And that ought to do it. Now all we need now is a little shadow of that thing on the grass. What I'm going to use here is an olive green. It's my dark colors that I use for my grass, like you see the shadow here. We'll just draw a little bitty line right here. Don't take a whole lot. I don't like to forget the details. The little things to me sometimes can count. And that ought to do it. So, thanks today for stopping in and watching me paint a little bit. I enjoy you. Thanks a lot.